I give the call to the member for Bruce.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. I want to thank my friend, the member for Corangamite, for moving this motion and bringing this debate to the Parliament on the aged care crisis. It is an utter disgrace. This is a national emergency. This is a national crisis. They're not exaggerations to say that. Right now, we have more than 1,100 separate outbreaks in aged care facilities, COVID outbreaks across this country. Our most vulnerable Australians, Deputy Speaker, in the frailest years, their frailer years and days, many of whom are locked, isolated in their rooms, week after week, alone, scared, some of whom are in their last days dying alone because the government didn't order enough rat tests to give to the aged care facilities and they can't have visitors. They rightly expect the government to support them, given all they've done for our country. 1/4 of workers' shifts are unfilled. That means no food, no showers, no toilets. Aged care residents across the country are left untoileted and unbathed. More than 640 deaths in aged care facilities this year alone, many of which are preventable. They should not have happened. These older Australians should be alive. They're literally dying because of this government's inaction. And the government's response? The Prime Minister's standard formula. To deny there's a crisis, he says there's no crisis. In fact, the Minister said, well, it's all going exceptionally well. Well, why is the government calling in the army to deal with this crisis if there is no crisis? The Prime Minister lives in denial. There's 60% of workers who still haven't had their booster shot. And we know the difference that the booster shots make to transmitting COVID, slashes the risk of outbreaks. More than 60,000 residents, our most vulnerable Australians, have not had their booster shot because of this government's incompetence. If denial doesn't work, then he distracts. He was down there washing a woman's hair in a hair salon in a downright creepy fashion, frankly. Well, he could have gone to an aged care facility and actually washed someone's hair who needs it and done something useful with his time. If that doesn't work, then he deflects. He tries yet again to blame the states, just like he did during the Victorian outbreak in 2020, when the vast majority of deaths of Victorians were in Commonwealth-run aged care facilities because of his failure and neglect. And then when all else fails, he dreams up something, but it's always too little too late. Like the insulting $400 bribe to an aged care worker, and another bribe that runs out, of course, around the election. You know how many aged care workers are going to get that $400? 6%, because it's prorated. And what this government has done to the aged care sector is criminal. Casualisation. Only 6% of aged care workers in this country have a full-time permanent job. Only 6% of them will get the $400. The rest of them would be lucky to get $100 or $200. That is not dealing with the aged care crisis. It's an announcement that he made up to try and survive the National Press Club, not a serious response to this national emergency. But the big lie, Deputy Speaker, or the untruth, because I'm not allowed to tell the truth and call the Prime Minister a liar, of course, under the standing orders, is his line that, oh, well, it's COVID, it's a 1-in-100-year pandemic. Well, yeah, sure, it is a pandemic. But he was warned. He was told about this outbreak. He knew it would happen. He was told there'd be more strains. He didn't order the rapid antigen tests like every other developed country. Their government secured supplies, but not this bloke. He wanted to leave it to Harvey Norman and the private sector to make profit instead of buying them on taxpayer funds for a lower rate and giving them to the community. Shame on him. But really, it comes after a decade of neglect. That is the big lie. It didn't just creep up on him. It's not like someone yelled, surprise, there's an aged care crisis. He's in his 9th year of government, nearly a decade of failure and neglect. And the one common thread through all of this is the Prime Minister himself. He was the Social Services Minister who presided over nearly $2 billion of cuts to aged care. He was the Treasurer who baked them into the budget, and now he's the Prime Minister. He broke it, he owns it. And yes, of course the pandemic has exacerbated and weakened the sector, of course. But these problems are long-standing and they're structural. The government has had 21 expert reports into this crisis. He then commissioned a royal commission thinking he was going to lose the election and he'd kick it down the road to be Labor's fault. 148 recommendations. He hasn't responded to over half of them or has had an inadequate response. No 24/7 nurse on care in a nursing home. Nothing for workers' wages, and $3.2 billion given to providers with no strings attached. Shame on him. He should sack the minister, then sack himself.